2, 1.
We'd like to welcome you to another edition of Grok Talk, brought to you by New Hampshire's leading conservative blog site, GraniteGrok.com. We are your feared extremist, right-wing, hard-charging, gun-toting, opinionated, outspoken, rabble-rousing, letter-writing, radio microphone stomping conservatives and rational libertarians. So get ready for more news and opinion you could only get from GraniteGrok.com.
Grok Talk.
All right, welcome back to Grok Talk, brought to you by the Coalition of New Hampshire Taxpayers and the bloggers at GraniteGrok.com. Be sure to check us out on Spreaker, Stitcher, TuneIn, iTunes, and our iHeartRadio. We are also available, this and past programs, because we rebroadcast now every day from 9 to 11 a.m. on GraniteGrok.com, Spreaker.com, and TheRockNHCR.com. So, let's turn some microphones on. Mike's not back yet. We'll keep that one off and proceed with the program. Our next guest is a former congressman, served during the Reagan administration as special assistant to Attorney General Edwin Meese, and as a special assistant to President Reagan for domestic affairs, is a co-founder of the Federalist Society for Law and Public Policy, and is the current president of Club for Growth. Please welcome to the program Mr. David McIntosh. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you, Steve?
Good. How are you?
Doing well.
Are you in the snow-socked land of D.C. or somewhere else?
I am. I'm in the Virginia suburb with the snow the way you are in New Hampshire, so it's slowed everything down here, which may have its benefits.
Oh, yeah. It sounds like you have some pretty good conservative credentials, given the information that I just kind of spit out. And you guys got involved in circumstances in Iowa where we had a little brouhaha with another presidential candidate. And, of course, recently, National Review and a number of other publications have come out to point out that while Mr. Trump may be popular or a populist, that he is not exactly a conservative.
That's exactly right. We, at the Club for Growth, we do a thorough research of all of the candidates' backgrounds on economic issues, on their position on some issues like tort reform that affect the economy, but also limited government. How do they holding the line on spending, keeping taxes down, and growing the economy? We discovered there were several what we call gold standard candidates. Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio, Rand Paul, all have excellent records in that. But as we looked at Donald Trump, past statements of what he has stood for, it became very clear he's actually more comfortable in the primary with Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders because he's advocated for major tax increases in the past. Now he has a tax cut this time that he's running on, but that's a newly discovered position for him. He's particularly one issue that we noticed, which I think really threatens one of the foundations for our free market economy, and that is the regard for private property rights. He's been a strong advocate for what we call eminent domain abuse, where local government will take private property, homes and small businesses, land, and turn it over to developers to redevelop for what they want to and make money out of. Condemn houses to build as casinos.
No, it's obvious that while Trump has touched upon topics that I have, at least early on, took great delight in basically pointing out, he's puncturing the establishment balloon. He's basically smashing down the wall of political correctness, of which I have been writing about for years. Now, more and more of the details are coming out as the campaign goes through. And I have a hard time with a lot of conservatives, other than the fact that, okay, let's smack the establishment, but, then you got to look past that next step. And I look at what's going on, the populism that's going on, and I'm going to ask the same question to you that I did of our last guest, former Senator Bob Smith, out of here in New Hampshire, a really great conservative. I am getting very leery that our electorate is turning to the left, because the left, stemming back to the Frankfurt School, and they made the effort, like Italian socialist Gramsci said, you can't do it on the economics, change the culture instead. And now are we seeing the electorate so changed because of the lack of education of our actual beginnings as a country and the philosophy? that no matter how hard and you folks work to fund good conservative candidates, the electorate is turning because they don't know our history, they don't know our philosophy, and instead we're seeing almost a plurality of Democrats who openly say socialism is good. And we look at the crowds at the Trump rallies and go, what the heck?
Yeah. No, and part of it is it's the bread and circuses approach, and we've seen that in history as well, where the public doesn't really want to give a lot of thought to improve the economy. We're not happy with it. We think they're doing a lousy job. So who will entertain us the most in saying they'll deal with this? And so you get these huge rallies. But you're right. We need to remind people that history does teach us a lesson, that socialism has been devastating wherever people have tried it. It destroys opportunity. It particularly affects the young people in the next generation. I've heard these tales of professors at liberal campuses who fit right in with the liberal ideology, but they grew up in Eastern Europe, and when it comes to talking about socialism, they actually do tell their students the truth, that it's a devastating, terrible system of government, and it won't make life better for the future. But you're right. Our education systems fail to teach that, and we need to have candidates who will be able to educate them about that.
And how do you think that they can do that? I mean, I just, and we may be going off topic here, but I think when we talk about root causes, I cannot help but think this has got to be the root cause as why we're getting away from free markets. When we see capitalism being berated all the time. And more we're seeing, well, a government-led economy is the way to go because it's more democratic, and democrat is supposed to be this shiny object that we're all supposed to bow down to. And everybody else here around the table is cringing at this point. Where do we go?
Analogies that people will understand. And one of the things I've always shared when I was out talking about policies that sound good, like, oh, let's pay for everybody's college. You got to ask the voters, is it really fair to ask a new family where a husband and wife are both working and they're middle income, struggling to pay the bills, haven't to go to school, is it fair to raise their taxes in order to pay some college kids' tuition and not ask them to contribute anything for their own education? And people start to get that. The other analogy that oftentimes works is a sports analogy. We believe in competition there, and the team that has the best skill, the best plays, the best coaches should win. But socialism says, no, that's not fair. What we're going to do is tilt it against you and say, your touchdowns only count 5 points and everybody else are 6, and then we'll let you compete because you've got a better team and see who wins. We don't buy that in sports. We don't buy it in other parts of our lives. Why should we start to do it in the economy?
Well, actually, I have to say we may be turning against that model because recently there was that girls' team that was kicked out of their league because they were just too good, and the other teams didn't want to play. They thought it was unfair because, frankly, they just didn't want to compete in a meritocracy-type league.
Yeah, and you see that here in my kids' teams where the parents will say, oh, we're not going to keep score. It's just that you play the game. The kids get it, and they keep score. They know exactly how well they did or didn't do. And that's what truly makes competition fun and nobling. And when you win, it really is worth winning.
All right, so you guys are involved in the process, in the politics, in the primary. What have you got coming up that's planned that you can share with us in the coming weeks and months?
So our main mission is in the Congress and the Senate, and we've developed a plan starting this cycle to get a majority that matters in Congress where they won't sit on their hands or try to do deals with Nancy Pelosi. It's going to take a couple cycles, but we've been interviewing candidates all over the country, and I can tell you this year, it's kind of ignited, is a lot of people are fed up with the status quo in Congress as well. And so we're seeing a lot of very good candidates come out. We're going to be looking at a couple of the districts up in New Hampshire. Haven't made any decisions yet. We're in the Senate. There's a great candidate in my home state of Indiana, Marlon Stutzman, and down in Florida, Ron DeSantis, who will add to the Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio, Tom Cotton, Ben Sass group in the Senate. And that's what the club does. I would urge all of your listeners, check us out at our website, clubforgrowth.org. You can join for free and then get information about all these good new generation of conservative and libertarian candidates.
Right, and you've got great scorecards of what they've all done in the House and Senate as well on key bills, especially focused on fiscal responsibility more than anything else.
That's exactly right. Our mission is to focus on economic issues, limited government, pro-growth policies, and we keep track of the major votes there and score them all. Some of my friends who are still there aren't happy with us because they didn't get a great score. And I tell them, well, start voting the right way, and you'll get a good score. And it tells folks at home what they really do in Washington.
Yeah, so just by the way, how have you been scoring Pat Toomey lately?
Pat is at 90%. There are a few votes where I was hoping he'd be for a few more cuts, but he's kept his score very high in the Senate, in spite of being from a blue state and up in a presidential year for re-election. Now, we do not look at social issues like Second Amendment and any of the moral issues. So if people have disagreements with him there, that wouldn't be reflected.
Right.
Shrinking government, he continues to do very well.
Super. We got a question here from Susan.
Sorry.
Sorry, he keeps my mic off because I tend to jabber on. This is Susan Olson here. I have a question. What's your guys' scorecard look like on Kelly McWhynot?
Kelly,
alleged Republican senator from New Hampshire.
I would have to go and look up her score, but last time I checked, she was sort of in the B-C range, if I remember.
That high?
She must be turning in extra credit then, huh?
Yeah. We looked at her and said that's not one of the races we're going to get involved in. She doesn't really do the hard work for the free market that we were hoping she would do.
And there isn't anybody who's running against her to replace her that would be of value. So anyway, we're out of time, David. I wanted to thank you so much for coming on the show today.
My pleasure. Keep up the good work, educating people, telling them the truth about these key issues. Particularly, I share your view of small government and individual freedom is the value we need to look for in our political leaders.
All right, well, have a great weekend and enjoy your snow.
Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.
And over the next 2 weeks, we look forward to seeing what you all produce for us as a nominee.
Okay, well, we'll find out, won't we?
Yeah.
All righty, bye-bye.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Stay tuned, everybody. This is Grok Talk. I'm Steve McDonald. We'll be right back.
Excellent.
Rock.